untap, upkeep, and welcome back to the channel if you've been here before. And if you haven't, then please sit down, relax, and enjoy our show for today. So for today, I figured I would go over not really a budget deck because we're knocking on the door of 450 bucks, but something kind of odd that you don't really see when you're out in the wild. And I figured this would be a fun thing to kind of show off a little bit. It's not the strongest thing. It is kind of janky, but I do enjoy playing it, and I think it's a lot of fun. In fact, I think I'm gonna unleash it at my local game store. Shout out to Green Brothers Comics, probably tomorrow night. So, what I'm gonna talk about today is Silmgar, the Drifting Death. So he's a 4 black blue 3/7 dragon. He has flying, he has hexproof, which is already a hard thing for most people to deal with. I mean, he's already a 3/7 for God's sakes. Well, we're gonna make it worse. So he has this wonderful ability that says, whenever a dragon you control attacks, creatures defending player control get -1/-1 till end of turn. He is a board wipe on a steed, and he is very, very, very deserving of his own commander deck. So I figured I would build one and see what kind of chaos I can cause around the table and in my area. We are running one Planeswalker, and that would be Savitri, the Dragon Master. For 2 blue and a black, she comes into play with 4 loyalty counters, and until your next turn, creatures can't attack you or Planeswalkers you control, unless the controller pays 2 life for those creatures. So, if you +1 her as soon as she comes out, anything that comes your way, it's going to cost your opponent 2 life per creature. So, Krenko decks, you better watch out. Elf Ball, hope you got enough life. Soldier White Weenie, again, hope you got enough life. So it kind of deters a little bit of coming your way. I mean, it also helps that our commander's a big 3/7 flappy boy, so I mean, he can block a lot of things. She can be your commander, so you can actually build a version of this deck if you wish and swap her with Silmgar, but I don't think that would work, especially because I have some key cards that really work specifically with Silmgar. So we'll get into that here in a minute. But you can also -3 her to search your library for a dragon card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Of course, shuffle afterwards. So you can play her, and if we need another dragon for whatever reason, and I have a couple of dragons that would be good grabs to kind of get some kind of engine going, we can actually do that. And then her -7 is destroy all non-dragon creatures. So if nothing else, you just keep plussing her, protecting her and yourself, and then eventually you just get scary and -7, and then, well, everything that's not a dragon just dies. Let you in on a little secret. This is a dragon tribal deck in dimir colors. We are looking to be kind of a mid-rangey control list in this color combination and in this style that I've got here. All of our creatures but 2 are dragons, and the 2 that are not, in my opinion, are very worthy of being in the deck. So let's start from, well, the big spooky one, the Ancient Brass Dragon. So for 5 black, a 7/6 flying dragon, that whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you get to roll a d20. And whatever that number is, you get to target a graveyard. Well, you get to put any number of target creature cards with total mana value X or less from graveyards onto the battlefield under your control, where X is that result. So if you manage to roll, I don't know, a 15, you get to pick creature cards from graveyards that have a total mana cost of 15. Now, that could be some of our dragons, of course, but let's face it, they got a big mana cost. That might be a little hard to do, but you could grab some spooky stuff when you play this card and do its thing. It could get pretty spooky. So let's move on to its big bad blue brother, the Ancient Silver Dragon. It's a Another one of the Elder Dragons from the Baldur's Gate set. You can have him come out for 6, a blue, and he's a big old 8/8 dragon. My goodness, this thing is huge. Of course, he has flying, and he has a wonderful ability that says whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you roll your d20. Whatever that result is, you draw that many cards, and then you have no max hand size for the rest of the game. So if we roll our d20 correctly, we're able to draw even just one card. It doesn't matter. Oh no, we nat one. We're such a noob. We have no max hand size for the rest of the game. That's the real important part. So if for whatever reason everything got Cyclonic Rift, or we just happen to draw like 15, 16 cards or whatever, we have no max hand size. We're in Dimir. We are in control colors, so we can keep cards in hand, we can keep mana open, and stop things that are trying to stop us. We have Astral Dragon. It's not part of any kind of combination that I'm aware of in this color pair and in this build. It just makes 2 more dragons that when it comes into play that can copy something. So it just another fun blue dragon, which is something because I mean years ago there wasn't enough dragons in any other color but red to do this. So I figured this would be a fun deck to try and get up off the ground. I've built many iterations of this deck, and this is the one I believe is the most effective and the most powerful for what janky thing I'm trying to do here. So next we have Bone Dragon. So he can be cast from our graveyard by exiling 7 other cards. He's just a nice big 5/4 flappy dragon. The Deathbringer Regent is the next one on our list, and he does some work. So for 5 black, you get a big old 5/6 flying dragon, which is nice, that's great and all, but what we really care about is whenever he enters the battlefield, if we cast him from our hand, if there are 5 or more other creatures on the battlefield period, I cannot talk apparently, we get to destroy all creatures. So yes, it hurts us, but if we need a board wipe that bad, we can always use Savitri, go find him, and the next turn annihilate the battlefield. It stinks, but it's something we can do. And because it says all other, he would actually still be around. And there's some shenanigans you can do with that. I mean, we can get Brass Dragon back a couple of at least one time. Moving forward, we have Silmgar, but now he's the Dragon Lord. Love this art, is so pretty. Gosh, I wish I had this version of him, but I do not. Sad face, yo. Moving forward, though, he is a 4 blue, black, 3/5 flying death touchy Elder Dragon. And then whenever he enters the battlefield, we gain control of target creature or planeswalker for as long as we control our Dragon Lord Silmgar. So I thought about making him the commander of this deck, but the whole gimme thing was just kind of clashing with the idea that I was trying to do here, which is a Dimir Dragon tribal list. And I ended up putting him in the 99 and using his older version for what we're trying to do here, and I think it fits better for what I'm doing here. We also have the Ebon Death Draco Lich, just another big dragon that you can flash speed him out. I mean, he comes into play tapped, and at 4 mana, I mean, it's one of the more reasonable dragons in the deck. He is a zombie dragon, so maybe that could play a pivotal role at some point. And you can actually cast him from the graveyard if something not named Ebon Death Draco Lich was sent to the graveyard. So, you know, if anything has died in the same turn and we had mana open, so maybe like there was another board wipe, we could actually cast him back from our graveyard and at least have a body present. Next we have Hidezuku and Hari. It is a 2 blue black 5/4 flying ogre demon dragon pair up, if you will, from the March of the Machines set. So when they enter the battlefield, we get to draw 3 cards and put 2 cards from our hand on top of our library in any order we wish. So we basically get to storm our deck for a possible answer, or more dragons, more firepower, whatever we're looking for. And then whenever it dies, exile the top card of our library. Target opponent loses life equal to its mana value. If it's an instant or sorcery card, we may cast it without paying its mana cost. So we are running big dumb dragons, and if for some reason it died, we can exile the top card and put it into our hand, and then the opponent of our choosing is going to lose life equal to that mana cost. Newsflash, we have a lot of big dragons. That could be a lot of life drain. The Hoarding Broodlord is just a big, dumb dragon that I love having in anything that's black. It's an 8-drop for a 7/6 flying dragon, but it has Convoke. So if we had a few other dragons out, we could actually tap them to help cast this big boy if we really needed to. And then we have his ability. He's a tutor dragon. So whenever Hoarding Broodlord enters the battlefield, we can search our library for a card, exile face down, then shuffle. For as long as that card remains exiled, we may play it. So we can even get a land, which is really interesting when you think about it. That means you could go get something like the Tabernacle, and if you have a major land drop for the turn, or if you had a way to make another land drop, you can play the Tabernacle, because it says play, not cast. So you literally can go get like any kind of the spooky lands that are out there and can cause damage to you and your opponents, and you could get it. Which, if you haven't seen a list of the spooky lands that exist in the Commander format, please go check out the video that I have about it, and you will not be disappointed. He also has spells you cast from exile have Convoke. So if you did get something like Ancient Silver Dragon, you can actually tap dragons to help pay for the Ancient Silver Dragon while he's been in exile. So it's pretty nice. Icefall Regent is just a nice 5-drop 4/3. When he enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls is now going to be tapped, and that creature doesn't add tap during its controller's untapped step for as long as Icefall Regent is on our battlefield. So for as long as we control Icefall Regent, it will stay tapped. It will never untap until this creature leaves our battlefield. Now, it also has spells your opponents cast that target the dragon will cost 2 more. So effectively, it has Ward 2. So that's pretty nice. Emerith Desert Doom, if you've seen any of my other previous videos, you've seen this dragon and you know this dragon's really, really good. At least I believe it is. For 5 mana, we get a 5/5 flying dragon that has Ward 4 as long as it's untapped, and whenever it deals combat damage, we get to draw a card. But if we have fewer than 3 cards in hand, we get to draw equal to that difference. So it's just a nice little way to get some card draw. Junji the Midnight Sky, again, just a nice 5 mana 5/5 flying dragon with menace. Might be relevant in case you fight anything else with flying. And whenever Junji the Midnight Sky dies, we get to choose one. Each opponent will discard 2 cards and lose 2 life. Or we can put target non-dragon creature card from our graveyard onto the battlefield under our control, and we will lose 2 life. Oh, wow. I misread that. It says from a graveyard, not your. Wow. So if this thing dies, we can yoink something like, I don't know, a Sheldred, the Apocalypse. So that's pretty nice. We are moving down to Nimbleclaw Adept, which is just it's just a nice cheap dragon wizard from the Boulder Gate set that we can tap it to untap 2 other target permanents. So if we attacked for the turn and we think we might need blockers, we can untap a couple of creatures. We can untap some mana to keep things open. It's just a nice all-around okay, good card kind of feel to it. Necromaster Dragon. I swear I can speak and I can do English. Sometimes. Again, just a 5 mana 4/4 flying dragon. And he's got an ability that might become relevant. I mean, it kind of depends. I haven't really got the chance to play the deck yet. So we'll see how it actually does. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, we may pay 2 mana. If we do, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield, and each opponent will put the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So by paying 2 mana, we get a 2/2 body, and then if somebody like Vampiric tutored something on top that we think might be a scary problem, we could always play this, attack with it, pay 2 mana, um, make a zombie, and have them mill 2 cards. Of course, you can't do that all in the same turn unless we have Lightning Greaves on the battlefield and equip it to the dragon, but that's just a side thing. Massacre Girl Known Killer. She is one of the non-dragon creatures in this deck. So for 4 mana, we get a 4/4 menacing human assassin with creatures you control have Wither, meaning they deal damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. And then whenever another creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, we get to draw a card. Guys, the dragon himself, Silmgar, gives every creature an opponent controls a -1/-1 when for every dragon that attacks them. So we could have potential to draw a bunch of cards, especially with her best friend. This is Maha. Its Feathers Knight. So for 5 mana, we get an elemental bird creature with flying trample and a 6/5 body. Ward is discard a card. So if you go to target it, you must discard a card or you counter whatever is trying to target her as far as an opponent is concerned. This is where she combines very well with a Massacre Girl, and it is really, really absurd. So creatures your opponents control have base toughness of 1. And Massacre Girl says whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, we get to draw a card. You gotta remind you, if both of these are out and we attack with 1 dragon, I mean, anything that has a defense of 1 or less is gonna die, and we get to draw a bunch of cards. I like it. Next, we have Kaiga the Tidestar. This is one that an opponent's not going to want to kill unless there's really nothing on the battlefield that they're worried about. Because when this dragon dies, we get to put a creature that they control under our control. And it's not until end of turn. So we get to yoink something onto our battlefield. So, I don't know. If a Krenko was around and we didn't want them to have a whole bunch of goblins and not get their commander back until they had a way to kill it, we could jack it. Kind of funny, actually. Next, we have Kari of the Swirling Sky. So for 6 mana, we get a Dragon Spirit with flying, Ward 3, and as a 6/6 body. Not bad. So return any... Whenever the Swirling Sky dies, though, we get to choose one of these. So, return any number of target non-land permanents of mana value 6 or less to their owner's hands. So, we have to tally up whatever we're trying to get rid of and make sure it's a total mana value of 6 or less, and we can bounce all of those permanents back to their hand. Most of the time, unless they have changed this ruling, tokens from something like Krenko do not have a mana cost. Something from Frosh do not have a mana cost. Unless otherwise specific, I believe the token has to copy like an actual card like Kari, and you would get the mana cost that way. But if it's just like a generic like soldier, goblin, elf, whatever, they don't have a mana cost. So you can actually board wipe something like a Krenko deck easy by letting this thing die. And the other ability is probably not going to be relevant, but I don't know, there may be situations where it is. So we get to mill 6 cards and return up to 2 instant and or sorcery cards from our graveyard to our hand. So that might become a relevance. I don't know. Sapphire Dragon has Adventure, and we could cast it for 2 a blue on its Adventure side to counter target non-creature spell. So it is a counter spell disguised as a dragon. And then if we play it for the dragon, which would cost a total of 7 mana for a 5/6 flyer, that whenever the Sapphire Dragon attacks or blocks, we get to scry 2 cards. Not the greatest, but not bad. It just kind of helps to fill and filter out the deck a little bit. Next, we're running Shimmer Dragon. So any of our artifacts, we can tap 2 of them at any point in time and draw us a card. And as long as we control 4 or more artifacts, this dragon will have hexproof, meaning nobody can target it, and it's perfectly fine. That's 6 mana for a 5/6 flying dragon. It's not that bad. Oh boy, the big boogeyman of the deck, I guess you could say. So this is Githrix, the Blight Dragon. better known as Skittles. So for 3 black black, we get a legendary dragon skeleton that is a 4/4 flying infect that also has pay a black, it will gain haste until end of turn, or double black and you can regenerate it. So if you don't know what regeneration is, it's an old mechanic that they have since very much phased out of modern day cards. There's a handful that have this mechanic, but not very many, because they're trying not to complicate it a whole lot for a lot of new players. But regeneration would be if you go to do like any kind of mass destroy effect or even just a single target removal spell, if it doesn't have that clause of it cannot be regenerated, we can always pay black black and we would turn Skittles sideways and he would not die. Instead, he would basically gain like indestructible is a nice way to think about it. Um, but if anything says like destroy all creatures or destroy target creature and it can't be regenerated, then it won't matter. You can pay black black to your heart's content and you will never get your dragon to stay. It will die. The thing that makes him the big spooky boogeyman of the deck is his infect capability. So this creature deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, and to players in the form of poison counters. So they won't necessarily take 4 damage, but they'll get 4 poison, and that could take 3 hits and somebody's out. I don't care what your life total is. And we could even make it double the trouble with Spark Double. So it could come into play as a copy of any creature on our battlefield, or a Planeswalker if we really felt like it, except for it gets an additional +1/+1 counter if it's a creature, or an additional loyalty counter if it's a Planeswalker, and it's not legendary. So you could play this, copy Skittles over here, and we could have 2 Skittles. One of them is a 5/5, the other one's a 4/4, and well, we can hurt some people. Pretty nice. And of course, we're going to round out our creature list with the Steel Hellkite. I just figured it's a nice dragon that helps deal with some problematic permanents. Our sorceries are pretty simple. We're running Feed the Swarm to blow up something. Distant Melody is some card draw. Dire Sight is another source of card draw. Running Diabolic Tutor, which is our one and only tutor for the deck other than our Planeswalker to go find whatever we might actually need. Crippling Fear is a board wipe on a stick, essentially, because we're going to cast a spell, we're going to choose a creature type, which will be Surprise Dragons, and then everything that's not a dragon will get a -3/-3 until end of turn, so then we can turn our dragon sideways and finish off the job if there's anything still alive to be killed. We're running Asinine Antics as well. So for 6 mana, we can play this spell. But if we pay 2 more mana into it, so for a total, for 4 mana we can play it, but for a total of 6 mana, we can play it as though it had flash, and for each creature your opponents control, create a cursed roll token attached to that creature. If you control another roll on it, put that one into the graveyard. Enchanted creature is now a 1/1. So we can play this at instant speed and kind of help deal with some problems. Or more importantly, we can move to combat if somebody has no responses before combat, or we can actually hold priority and cast this with 6 mana, and then ta-da, everything's dead. Pretty nice. Mass Diminish is another effect like this, so until our next turn, creatures target player control will have base power and toughness 1/1, and it has flashback, so we can hit 2 opponents with this. Knight's Whisper, Ponder, and Preordain are all sources of card draw. And then we have Reanimate, our 1 reanimation capability to bring back something that we need. More often than not, it might be Ancient Brass, because Ancient Brass is just broken. We have our instant package, which again, we're pretty light in this as well. We're running Opt for some card draw, Negate to counter some stuff, as well as Arcane Denial and an offer you can't refuse. And then, of course, I have to have Silmgar Scorn. Brainstorm is another kind of impulse way to draw some cards and fix the top card of our deck. We're running Flatline. It came from the Doctor Who set. So creatures your opponents control have base power and toughness 0/1 until end of turn. So it's just a nice way to board wipe them. as well as Polymorph's Jest. So until end of turn, each creature target player controls lose all abilities and become blue frogs with base power and toughness 1/1. And finally, there's the worst of them all, the Sudden Spoiling. And it's the worst of them all because it makes all of creatures target player controls into 0/2s and they lose all abilities, and it has split second. Meaning, when we've cast this, and as long as it's on the stack, nobody can cast spells or activate abilities that are not mana abilities. So they can float mana, but they can't do anything else with it until this is done resolving. So it's a nice little gotcha. And you can actually use it to save somebody too. If Bob over here is going to go for the kill and he thinks he's got everybody, you can just sit there with a smug look on your face and go, yep, yep, yep. Before damage, sudden spoiling. They're now all 0/2s, they have no abilities, and you can't do anything until this is done resolving. So, pretty nice. Artifact package is a little bit on the heavy side, and I might shift that here and there. I haven't quite decided. We're running a lot of your typical artifacts you would see in something like this. Your Arcane Signet, Mind Stone, Talisman, your Thought Vessel, Wayfarer's Bauble, the Lens, Ring, Dragon's Hoard, Belwar Stone. This is a new one from the, well, I say new, but this is from the Boulder's Gate set. This is Lapis, Orb of Dragonkind. So it will tap to add a blue mana, and whenever you spend this mana to cast a dragon spell, we can discard 2 cards, so not bad. We're also running the Boots, because why not? Bident of Thassa, so whenever a creature we control deals damage to a player, we get to draw a card, and we can make creatures and opponent control attack if able. Midnight Clock is just a nice way to restock everything after we've flown and shot our shot, and we're just like, oh my gosh, now what? We can let the clock get to 12 and reset ourselves. And of course, the new one from the Bloomborough set, the Patchwork Banner. When it enters, we're going to choose Dragon, and creatures we control of the chosen type, Dragon. We get a +1/+1, and then we can add 1 mana of any color. Not a bad mana rot. Not in my opinion. Moving on forward, we're going to hit our enchantment suite, which is not very much. We are running the Feywild Visitor, so for 2 a blue, we have a legendary enchantment background, which we cannot play outside of our deck because our commander doesn't have choose a background. So it has to be in the 99. So it reads the following though. Commander creatures you own have, whenever 1 or more non-token creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you create a 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature token with flying. So it's just a nice way to put another body on the battlefield to have a way to protect us a little bit. And if you have something like this on the battlefield, we're able to draw a card. So this is Kindred Discovery, and it's very sought after even after the reprint it just had because of what it does in tribal decks. So for 3 blue, we're going to play this beautiful enchantment. And whenever it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, dragon. And whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, we're going to draw a card. So if this is out, and we attack with our commander, we draw a card from the attack. And then odds are we're going to actually hit for some damage because there's not a lot of decks that can stop flyers. And then we'll make a 1/1 fairy dragon, and that will in turn make us draw another card. Pretty nice. Mystic Mora, I mean, it's fish. It lets us draw cards whenever somebody casts a non-creature spell, unless they pay 4 mana. And finally, we're running Reconnaissance Mission, which is just another way that whenever a creature we control deals combat damage to a player, we get to draw a card. And if we feel like we're getting too much of that and we need some more interactive pieces, we can always pay 2 mana and cycle it. Excuse me. Yawns come out of nowhere, apparently. Our land package is pretty typical of what you would see in something like this, I believe. As we're running Bonder's Enclave to possibly draw some cards, we are playing a lot of big dragons. We have a whole suite of multicolor lands that we can use in this. Again, a demolition field at the very least, so I can deal with some problematic lands that may or may not exist on the battlefield. So as you can see, we have quite a few of our dual lands available to us, running 7 basic islands and 6 basic swamps, and we're pretty standard on this, I think. Mystic Sanctuary, this is kind of the reason we're a little bit more on our island package versus our swamp package, because if we control 3 or more islands when this enters, we can pick a instant or sorcerer card from our graveyard and put it on top of our library. So I think that's why it deserves a slot here and why we deserve to have um, more islands versus our swamps. And good lord, I didn't know it was that expensive. Moving on, we have Altwara, the Soaring City. It's a land, but it's essentially a spell at the same time. So we can bounce something that might be causing us a problem. Path of Ancestry, we're playing Dragon Tribal, so yeah, we'll be able to scry. The tower allows us to have no max hand size, and some more dual lands here. And then we're running something a little bit off the wall with our Vault of Whispers. You just never know. It might be a thing. Under the Underground River, Undercity Skewers, Expanse. We're running Takanuma as well, so we can hopefully get something back if we need to. And finally, a Watery Grave. That rounds out the deck overall. We are currently sitting as a bracket 2 commander deck, meaning we can hang with most out of the box commanders and not really like steamroll them or overpower them too much. And we're sitting at a total price tag of basically $425. Which, when you look at it, yeah, because there's some special foils and whatnot in the deck that kind of boost that a little bit. Our mana curve doesn't look horrible. We have a lot of 2-drops, and we just kind of spike for a 4 a little bit, and then we gradually come down. I think that the mana curve will be just fine. We can always tweak it, modify it if we really felt like it. It's more of a battle cruiser deck anyway. We're going to average almost 3 lands a game in our opening hand. This actually doesn't look like that bad of a hand. We can at least play Evolving Wilds first to go find a swamp and go from there. Because our first card would be a Big Dumb Dragon. That's also a counterspell. After that, I mean, who knows what would happen. In fact, let's find out what would happen. So let's do just a quick test run of the deck. So get rid of that. I want a swamp. A shuffle, pass the turn, a draw, island, Mindstone. So this is not bad. We're looking pretty good. Let's play the Verge so we can get some more mana out there and the Talisman. So on turn 4, Big Dumb Commander's out. That's not bad. So we can brainstorm here. We can draw 1, 2, 3. Ooh, spicy. Let's put land, Big Dumb Dragon, like our Soul Ring. And we could pass probably. So then we could draw, play this, because this will allow us to surveil 2. So when you surveil, you look at the top 2 cards in this instance of your library, and you can put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest on top of your library in any order. And then once that's done, we're going to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. So we can play that, see what our top 2 are. You know what? I don't think we're going to need either one of you. And we can draw 2, lose 2. Hey, look, 2 more land. Joy. Play our Demolition Field, play Big Dumb Dragon, do thing. We're going to hold on to the Sanctuary because I don't think we need it just yet. We can play this. If somebody's becoming a problem, we can play this and we can deal with their problem. Oh, look, Junji. Do we have enough for that as well? So that would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have enough mana. We could actually do that. So we could play this. We could draw 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, which is not bad. Play our land for the turn. And we could either pass or we could play something else. So yeah, we're just kind of a reactive, mid-rangey kind of build. We're not looking to be the first to do something per se. We're looking to be the one that goes, actually, hold on for a minute. So just a quick run through the deck. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to try it out in person. I've had this built for a while. I just have been modifying and tweaking it to try and get it a little bit more to my liking, and trying to get it to do a little bit more of what I want it to do. So let me know what you think. Let me hear your comments, and see if this is something you've ever thought about doing. And if you thought about it, did you build it? How'd it do? What direction did you take it? Because I went completely jank with Dragon Tribal. So, I mean, do what you want to do, but let me know what you did. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, leave me some comments, show me some love. I have some other works that I'm trying to get down the pipeline, and I could really use your love to help get them up off the ground. With all of that said, I have been your Buddha Dragon. Please, don't forget, rub that belly for mana, and may your games be filled with luck. Until the next time, peace out.